Hello. I'm Greg, or Greggy. If you're introducing me, you gotta call me Gregory. It's just, this first poem, has everybody here had an apple, eaten an apple before, or seen one? Yes. Yeah. A lot of people are saying yeah. And that's because, of course, you have their ubiquitous. It's pretty smart sounding, right? So if you're ever around people who think it's important to be very smart, just whip that out. Apples are ubiquitous. This is a poem about apples. It's called Apples. My great-great-great-granddaughter has the giggles again. She runs into the kitchen. It's the same house I grew up in with the same bar stools pulled up to the island. She is just able to hop up into one, and she rests her elbows on the granite, her chin in her hands. I'm putting the dishes away, pretending not to notice, until she calls me Grampy. She wants me to tell her the story about apples again, and her eyes are wild and open. Well, I say, and I always say, well, the same way whenever I start this story. And this gets her up out of her seat laughing before I even start, and I say, well, again, when I was your age, yes, she asks, and I say, when I was your age, you used to have to wash your apples in the sink. Why did you have to wash the apples, Grampy? She asks. She is barely able to say it, laughing. We had to wash the pesticides off, and the word pesticides sends her into hysterics. She emphasizes pest, or saying it like pesticides. She tells me to tell her what they looked like, and I said they were big and fat. Some were green, some were red. Okay, Grampy, she says, fully wound. Now tell me how they tasted. This is her favorite part. I say, and I stare off behind her as if I can't remember. But for a minute, I have forgotten, and I want to say, God, they were so good, they were so sweet. I almost say if you got a good one, a single bite was like a glass of cold apple juice in your mouth. And I remember one time I accidentally told her about apple juice. It just kind of slipped out, but she laughed so hard you should have seen it. The taste, I say, and I wince. I make the same face every time I say how they tasted. It's this terrible face. They tasted like old shrimp, right, Grampy? She cries out, laughing. I make pretend like I'm about to throw up. I run over to the wastebasket like it's going to be too late. She almost falls out of her seat laughing, but then I shoo her off so I can finish the dishes. I watch her go play in the yard. There used to be a couple of apple trees we had back there. One time around her age, I ate one of the apples and had the worst diarrhea of my life. I don't know why I haven't told her that story yet. She's the right age that it would be a blockbuster. You know, diarrhea. I think I just feel awful I said so much bad stuff about apples to her. You know, there was this one time she overheard my wife and I talking about them. She heard us crying. We were making a list for the week, and we both said apples. We'd been so happy, I guess we just forgot. So then, when she asked, what's an apple? I panicked. She'll never know the difference anyway. I just can't bring myself to tell her how good they were, how good things were, how apples were like the squirrels of the fruit world. But then how would I explain to her what a squirrel is? Was it like a gun with ears, a car with a tail, but smaller? Send to apples. I got one more. This one's about time. It's kind of about money, which are kind of the same in that they kind of wear us down and kill us in our pursuit for more of them. Incidentally, I have a book for sale after the reading. This is called The Banker. My wife has been worried lately about my finances, my plans for retirement. She's a lawyer, you see, and you're looking at what it is I do. And so I haven't told her this, but I've been going to see a banker once, sometimes twice a week for financial advice, and frankly, sometimes just to shoot the breeze. He is 6 years old, and I know what you're thinking, but he's still young at heart. He's old enough that he's developed a conscience, but hasn't quite broken into the territory of rationality. This is a sort of Goldilocks zone for me because he is still governed by his imagination and he knows right from wrong. Truthfully, though, he really doesn't know very much about money, about banking, and he doesn't know about banking holidays. But scheduling is still kind of tricky. His availability revolves around when he feels like playing banker. But on those days, he truly goes above and beyond to make me his priority. He will move all his appointments to suit me. His other clients must really like him too. I see them sitting out in the lobby, always smiling. I've even started talking with a few, the ones I see there most frequently. We all get along fine, even his secretary. They are all stuffed animals with varying degrees of wear. And we've all only got about another year left to look forward to his services as a banker before he just loses interest in it. They'll all stick around, sure, some longer than others, filling different roles as needed, the rest peeling off, falling away gradually. Some of them, like me, he probably won't even remember, or that we all played banker together. Someday his parents will remind him, but it will be as if they're telling him about somebody else, another boy, a strange and ruleless game, a different life, too many memories away now, until they too are gone. But that is unimaginable to him, even at this age, thank heaven. Mom and Dad, his sun and moon. The other day I came home from seeing the banker, and I'd been crying on the walk back. My wife noticed, and she asked me, "What's the matter? Is that grape jelly on your shirt? What is it you've been doing all day? Where have you been?" And I can't tell her about the banker, how we'd been in his office, and I was explaining to him how airplanes work. I don't know, really, but he asked me. And then he started to cry. Not really about anything, really. He was just tired. But that got me crying. And then he stopped and he asked me, "Why are you crying?" But how could I say all of this to him? He shouldn't understand. Death is a mystery that only time will reveal to him. And selfishly, I don't want to blow whatever financial advice he might still have for me. So I said to him, "I'm sad that you're sad." "Oh," he said, "that's weird," he said. "And I've never seen a grown-up crying before," he told me. And then that was it. The game was over. I went out into the lobby and took a cup of the free coffee he has out there for his customers. I sat next to the stuffed elephant who told me that he'd been one at the circus once. I finished my coffee and said goodbye. All of this felt like a series of lasts. And as I was leaving the house, the banker's mother and father looked up at me. "See you again on Monday?" Mother asked. "No, I don't think so," I said. "Ah," said Father. "You know," Mother said, "we really should be paying you to watch him like this. He seems to really like you. He's kept all your money in that jar by the window. He hasn't touched it." "He's a good banker," I told her. "He's a good child," she said. "Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry," I said. "That's what I meant to say. I forgot." "That's what old people do. We forget," said Father, and he laughed. We all laughed. I'd heard that a million times, but that's what the old world and its old people do. We act like we've never heard it all before, and we laugh. It's as close as we've ever come to mercy. Thank you.